you actually decide to just take a set of the methods. You don't have to take all of them, because then you will have a thesis just about methods and selecting methods. You have these philosophical assumptions. You don't have to do that, because that's for the master thesis later on. But I wanted to tell you that there are philosophical assumptions as well. Okay, so fine material, how you reach your result: qualitative, quantitative, inductive, deductive, abductive. You heard of that too? Inductive, that's when you start with collecting data. You build a hypothesis and a tentative theory. Deductive, you have a theory, you do some observation, and you come up with a result. Abductive, collect data, go through the hypothesis, the tentative theory, make a theory, and then come, and as a result, a hypothesis that you believe in. So that's more than, it's 1.5 of those two, is that one. Okay, so qualitative, quantitative, qualitative, you know already, don't you? So you can look more about that. The picture that was supposed to be there is not there. The inductive, deductive, you get help here. There is this website you can look at, so you can apply those. And that's what I just said, so I don't have to repeat that. And when you have the method part in the introduction, you don't want to have a big chunk here. You focus on qualitative, quantitative. You focus on deductive, inductive, abductive. You mention for the work, the agile and the other methods. But when it comes to details, you put that in chapter 3. Otherwise, the method part will be big. And you don't mention the qualitative, quantitative, inductive, deductive in chapter 3. That's where you start with data collection methods. And data collection methods is interviews, observation, questionnaires, sensors, data storages, and so on. So that's how you collect data. So you try to separate the introduction part and the chapter 3 part. And what we talk about when we talk about this agile is to develop a system or a prototype. And then you want the whole process. But you don't have to, when you write a theory, you don't have to show everything about it. But you should give enough descriptions so you understand why you choose one and not the other one. So a good detail level. And this is something to remember. Always with references and argumentation. Always, always, always. Delimitation. This is also one of the ones that is really tricky to work with, because you only put the things where the parts that could affect your work, but you will not go into. And here it's important that you look at the positive parts. So it must be positive, not negative. It's like, oh, the project is not doing this and therefore it couldn't do that. No, you're looking at something and that's good enough. You have decided what you're going to do, and that will really be a good thing. So make it in a good thing. And I usually, yes, I was going to do that. I usually use a car as a good example. And if I want to look at the engine and the effect of the engine, and I have decided to look at the valves of the engine, what could affect that investigation? And what could affect those? And what do you have to look at? Well, the exhaustion pipes may affect it, so that should be in the delimitation. But the wheels, will they affect them? If you look at the effect of the engine. Probably not, so you don't have to even mention that. So only mention the part that could really affect what you're doing. Those should be there. For instance, if you're creating a prototype and you say, okay, I'm going to interview people at the company, and I've decided to interview the boss for the unit which you are going to do something for, and you are going to select a couple of people to interview in the company, that is the staff. You then decide which one you're not going to interview, but they could affect what you really are going to do and provide. So for instance, the people who are boss over the economics could affect what you're doing. That should be mentioned here, that you're not going to interview each and every one that could actually affect what you're doing. But the other one would not be there. This is something I often see, and that should absolutely not be in the delimitation. Because you have already decided the size of the project, and that must be in time. You must carry it out in time. So a time is not a delimitation. Okay, did that make sense? Okay. Finally, outline. Have you started already with the outline? Maybe some of you have. The outline starts from chapter 2, not chapter 1, because you are in the chapter 1 already. So you don't have to start about the chapter 1, and no bullet points. Just have it as a text. That's good enough. Okay, theoretical background is then something that is in more detail than anything else. So what you do is that you write more in detail about what you had in the background will be in the theoretical background. Chapter 2's title should not be theoretical background. It should be changed to what it really is about. So don't call it theoretical background. Okay? One of the things that is also important in the theoretical background, or chapter 2, it would be better to say that, is related work. Do you know what related work is? Do you? Related work is something that is almost the same as what you're doing. So you need to pick a couple of them that are always doing the same, almost doing the same thing as you are. But there is some difference, and you should mention what the differences are. It should be something different, okay? Can't be the same, because you are not inventing the same wheel again. You just use the wheel and see what adjustments do I have to do to make it fit in my project or to my car. So what you do is that you decide what you want to do. Okay? Make sense? And that's it. I'm not going to say anything more about the introduction. So questions about it? Is it clear? Do you have anything you want to ask now when you have the possibility? Nothing? Wow. Great. Okay. How many pages should this be?
40 to 60. What do you mean?
The whole thesis, but the introduction.
The ones I've read have been around 5, 6 pages.
Yeah, something like that. 5 to 6 pages long. So That means that you have to have a balance between the different parts in the introduction. Also means to have a balance in the details of the description. So that's what you need to do. Okay, anything else? How do you shrink things if you want to get more in? How do you do it? Ah. Absolutely not. So the font line space can be from 1.5 to 1, but that's it.
You just have to read through it and rewrite the sentences.
Yeah, and try to reuse words and make it as easy as possible to read, absolutely. But make it more condensed. But the font is not one of them. Okay? How about pictures?
Probably should be in the introduction.
No, probably not. I mean, even though it's very nice with pictures, they really take space, a lot of space. So that's another thing. Something else?